So we need to look like we're having fun, right? So
That's so fun.
actually, that's good. That's like fake laugh. Let's start with that. Like,
Yeah.
that's amazing.
Welcome to the podcast for product engineers.
Let's do a quick intro. Welcome to the roundtable between product engineers and product managers, right? So maybe we start from this side.
Sure. Hi, listeners. I am Marta. I am a product manager at epilot. I work with everyone here on this table, and my team is mainly responsible for pricing, products, all of these fun e-commerce things.
Cool. Marc.
Yeah, I'm Marc, product manager as well here at epilot. I'm taking care of Manifest, just like you as well, Viljami. And we're building the marketplace of epilot and blueprints and apps and integrations and all of these very important things in our ecosystem.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I'm Jakub. I'm a product engineer working for a team we call Mosaic, working on end customer facing product that people will interact with if they want to check their bill or go through some process, or installers will use to install wallbox, things like that.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, Viljami, head of engineering, probably remember from previous episodes of the podcast, working with Marc actually directly right now. So yeah, I'm excited for this one. This is a really interesting one. First time we've had product managers, I believe, in the in the podcast. And yeah, I really wanted to do this with you specifically because I think it's interesting just to hear what it's like, what it's like to work in a company that's doing product engineering as a product manager. Like, what's the difference? Is there a difference to previous experiences for you guys? Or maybe we start off with that. Like, what is it like? What do you do as a product manager at epilot?
First of all, thank you for having us.
You're welcome.
And let me just say that it is different than what I've done before. And I think the main difference for me is that it takes away some of the mental workload of feeling responsible for every little product thing, because you have peers that you can talk to about everything, who bring in their own ideas and really kind of enrich the whole process. And that's, something that I kind of knew before joining because I saw a lot of the public activity, but now living it is also, it's something you notice kind of every day, also thinking back to how working was before. It's different, but we're going to dive into that a bit more.
Yeah, I think what I can say to that topic, Viljami, is I worked with product engineers before. I worked in teams where you had product engineers who were not titled as product engineers. Mm-hmm. And for me, a product engineer was always someone who's, it's a software engineer, of course, at the end of the day, right? It's like someone who's actually building the product behind it, but it's someone who's customer facing. Yeah. That's how I would summarize it, right? It's like someone I, as a product manager now, would take into a customer call, and he would be able to grasp like problems of our customers and translate them into, into code at the end of the day, right? Like prioritizing the right things together. So this is how I experienced product engineers in companies before.
So you already came into epilot with experience working with product engineers.
Exactly.
They just weren't calling themselves.
Exactly. And as you know as well, I mean, I have a software engineering background myself, right? So there were even times in startups who were maybe a bit more early stage than here right now, where I would have called myself a product engineer because I was coding, but also at the same time talking to customers to actually find what problem do we want to solve with what we're building, right? And I think this is the most important key asset to have as a product engineer, right? You should be able to understand customer problems. You should be able to talk to a customer, right? You don't need to be the best person talking to people, right? It's just about trying the effort behind it to understand these things, right? And being able to prioritize the right things. That's how I see product engineers, for example. Yeah.
That's the kind of product engineer side for sure. I think what our listeners might be really interested in is what does it look like to be a PM in a company that is doing product engineering? Because where I'm coming from this is I think maybe you've already had that experience in past companies where, I don't want to say it in a bad way, but I think the assumption often is that the product manager is sort of there to keep an eye on the engineers a little bit and kind of write really detailed product specifications, tickets, and essentially at the end of the day kind of tell the engineers what to do, right? So what do you actually then do if that's not, I think that's probably not what you do at epilot. I know, Mark, that's not what you do.
No, totally. I mean, like, yeah, like there's more to it, right, Viljami? So it's not only talking to the customer when you're product manager, right? When you actually want to build a product with impact. I mean, if we take epilot as an example, there's a lot of cross-team collaboration going on, right? So you have like other teams, like customer success, for example. You have growth, you have design, you have a lot of other teams involved in actually building the product, right? Or like also prioritizing these things to get a lot of feedback from customer success, because they're actually the ones who are talking the most to our customers, right? Sales department as well. I mean, like they're even a step before, right? They're getting like customer requests with like very specific things in mind that we might not have right now yet, right? So like it's like product managers bring all of these people on a table to take the right decisions for our product. Like that's how I see a product manager, going beyond the product engineer, right?
Totally
now,
agree.
like also when you're a product engineer, like you cannot actually do, like this product discovery, for example, and talk to the customer all the time, because then you don't have time to build, right? So like this is kind of for like how I saw my role as a PM always in engineering teams is like I'm unblocking engineers, right? I'm unblocking a product engineer to build the right thing with impact. And like there's so many tasks behind it that you have to do as a product manager, right? For example, lead a feature discovery, for example, right? Write down like a product requirement document. I mean, that's what we do at the end of the day as well, right? Like we don't put it in tickets, but we're still like, okay, what features, what problems should we prioritize, what use case should we prioritize to actually build that specific thing?
And it's a discussion, right? So we as the engineers, right? You actually bring all those people together, and we're really privileged to have you to help us do that, because that's our question too. Is like, is the thing that I'm building right now, is it the most important thing I should be doing? And like you said, like the reality still is, and maybe Jakub, you can tell me if you agree with me. Like we still, like, a lot of our time is just very deep into code, very deep into doing the technical things. And at least how I see it, it's really great to have somebody in the team that can kind of pull you out from time to time.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Totally.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm another PM, but we haven't had a stable PM for the last 7 months, I think, at my team. And we were able to firsthand experience what PMs basically do, because there are some positives actually to this, and then there were some negatives. It was pretty interesting. We filled the gap with our designer, awesome guy Bernie, and I filled the gap there a bit as well. And it pushed us to think about the product much more. But there were some instances when we basically failed, and we did not consider, for example, how we can get the product or like the feature we are building to the end customers, right? We sort of missed that part, and it hurt us, right? So there are definitely, it's I wouldn't even call it a safety net with a PM. It's just someone who it's your buddy. They try to help you. They try to make sure you don't mess up, pretty much. And it's still good if you try to put yourself in the shoes of a PM, because then you have like a very nice overview of everything that's going on there. But it's also nice to have someone by your side.
Yeah, I think this point is pretty interesting. What I also found is like, like if you're a software engineer, like sometimes you tend to build stuff that is fun also, right? Like this is what you want to prioritize.
Absolutely.
It's like shiny technical stuff, right? But it's not necessarily the right thing to build. It's not necessarily the right thing to build for our customers.
But it's fun.
Exactly, right? But that's what you got to balance. So ideally, you have like something fun, but it's fun because it's going to have a huge impact, right? You have like, I don't know, you have 30 customers who are waiting for this, right? Like they're literally just waiting for you to build it and use it, right? So like this is the kind of fun I want to create as a product manager, for example. That's what makes me fun, right? If I know like what we're building is having a huge impact with our users, with our customers, I mean, this is the best feeling to have, I think. Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah, I like the balancing part. I think for me, it's also a bit about risk management, because I think having the product engineer mindset helps me to have the time to focus on the topics that are really risky, to know, is this really what we want to build before you guys jump in and do the fun stuff of coding it. So it's like my job to make sure. And there is still plenty of stuff that you absolutely don't need before, the quality things, the accessibility things, small fixes, there's really no need for the PM to be also always the PO who manages those little things. And that for me frees up the time to avoid making the wrong bets.
Yeah. I
That makes total sense.
think no micromanaging, right? I mean, this is what epilot is about as well, and I think it's a very nice approach. As you said, Marta, like product owners would rather own a backlog, right, and write tickets as well, maybe. I think it really depends on the setting, of course, as well. You might need it in like more traditional project management, maybe, but like here, I don't think it's like the right thing to put time into, right? At the end of the day.
That's something I'm really thankful of at epilot. I think we are really privileged as engineers to have product managers being seen as like our peers. Basically, we actually work and collaborate together on the same problems, on the same features, or whatever customer problem we're actually looking at. It feels we can literally be in a pairing session. Like I think it was just a week ago that you and me, Mark, just sat in a tuple session coding together, right? And I don't think that happens in a lot of companies. And yeah, I feel like we're very privileged to have that.
But it's fun as well, you know. It's fun as well, and like it's so much more. It's faster, right? It was super fast. Like, it took us 1 hour, and we were like basically done with the first version, right? And shipped it. Like,
exactly.
That's amazing.
And of course, that's not like how all development goes, but there are really good instances of this where like that collaboration just works. It just makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
True. Totally agree.
I think the reason we're kind of sitting here and discussing the topic is there is this perception sometimes from people that there's a tension between product management and product engineering because, well, there's the name product now in front of both kind of titles or roles, as you call it. But I wrote this letter pretty recently as an addendum to the Product Engineering Manifesto. And this was really kind of brought up by this perceived tension really between engineers and product managers that, hey, like in a company, because this raised up questions online, is like in a company that is doing product engineering, do we need product managers? And like for me, it's pretty obvious that you kind of really do want to have product managers, even if you're doing product engineering. Maybe if you're really small, maybe not. But what's your take? Like, why do you think that this tension exists, and or does it exist? Do you see that tension between engineers and product managers?
That's a good question. Definitely a good question. And I think there is a lot of angles that we can take to look at the whole topic of, why do we even need to say it's a product engineer to show that it's somehow more or broader than just an engineer? Like, why did we arrive at a place where we need that? And then if we go even a step back, we can ask, why did we even decide to have a role of a product manager? Like, in the grand scheme of things, it is a pretty young discipline. You cannot go and study it. You have to go and live it and learn it and find some sources online, but there's no way to study it. And then, we arrive at this point where we are wondering, okay, is there friction? Is there no friction? But for this, I would maybe like to go back to what Jakub said about how you guys have been working without a PM, because you really lived it, right? Because a PM cannot really work without engineers. We cannot really ship. But you are able to work without a PM. So maybe we can dive a bit more into how that experience was. How was it to jump into it? Did you enjoy parts of it? Could you maybe imagine to be a PM? There are many brilliant PMs with the engineering background, even Marc. Tell us more.
Yeah, I would say at least 60% of that was very enjoyable. Maybe even 70%. There were some things I did not enjoy that much. I mean, interacting with others a bit more is always a nice thing. So you get more messages from people. People reach out to you to ask about things, and you have a better sense of what the customers actually complain about or care about, request from you and stuff like that. So that part is definitely amazing. It can get overwhelming because if you get asked the same question like 16 times, then like that probably isn't super efficient. But on the vision part, for example, we were already doing pretty well as a team, I would say. So we already had people holding vision on different parts of the portal. Bernie and I holding the vision with the revamp we were working on. So I think we were doing fine there. I would say communication within the company is one thing we sort of did not really handle that well. I think you do a lot of that. You communicate a lot between different departments of the company. So we did not do a great job there, to be quite frank, and also communication with customers to some extent, because yes, we do have CS, right? But they usually know about bits and pieces, and there has to be someone who can bridge that. And so I don't think we did a great job there. And it's also the part that we sort of cannot do as well, to be quite frank. When I look at your calendars, it's just full of meetings. It's like meeting after meeting after meeting after meeting. We cannot do that as product engineers. We just cannot. We need to have like large blocks of uninterrupted focus time, right? So it was really tough sometimes to schedule some calls, because I wanted to keep that nice blocker. I want to keep my Tuesday free of meetings, right? So yeah.
I've noticed very similar things, right? So as a product engineer myself, like I have a lot of things that I would love to do. I would love to be able to, let's find the 5 first customers for this and just interview them and try to do that. But then the reality just hits like, I just can't do that. There's like no way I'm going to find the time, or I have to stop everything else basically. And then what's going to happen is production goes down. I have to go in and jump in, and who's going to do the meeting. But it's not just about the meetings, right? Like what I really like about it is it's having that sparring buddy, like really being able to throw a question out there and have somebody there that is actually able to answer that. Go out and find the answers, talk to the right people, which honestly, it's not just because of the time, but also I'm kind of, I want to be the one to build it, not necessarily always be the one that's just, trying to discover the next best thing. And by the way, when you're building, I also don't think it makes sense to stop what you're doing and now let's figure out what to do next, right? As an engineer, I like to have always kind of the next thing queued up. Mark already knows, we have these 8 customers who are asking for this very specific thing. What do you think about this, Viljami, right? Exactly. And then that's when the discussion already starts. I already have all the data. I already have all the feedback. Now we just go through the feedback. Of course, I still like to meet the customer, talk to the customer once we have the first version. But it would be very painful, I think, for me as an engineer to go into a meeting and not have anything to show. So that's kind of I see as a really, really nice thing about having a PM in the team.
Yeah, it's, like a PM's job is also to find opportunities, right? Like find new opportunities for us to build. And like that's really hard when you have product engineers only, right? Yeah. We have product designers as well for a reason, right? You need like an expert for every business function of what we're doing. And I think the bad image of product managers comes from the fact that, a lot of engineers don't like business administration, right? It's a lot about, metrics, you would say OKRs, all of that kind of things, right? But all of these things do matter for a company, right? And like product managers definitely try to bridge that a bit, right? Their company goals, there's a vision behind it that we're pursuing, and all of that stuff is actually not as easy as it looks like, right? We had a workshop with the PMs just this week, and we tried to agree on a product vision, right? On a product vision for what we're building. You know how long we took for one sentence? Hours. Yeah, because it's not easy to align on something like that. It looks easy, right? You would say like, let's do a vision statement for our product. One sentence should be easy. No, it took us hours to come to that agreement. Yeah. Because like once you start challenging your perception of the product we're building, it's getting very complicated. Once you start challenging what's the vision of our product long term, right? 10 people might have 10 different answers. So even to align these kind of things, like, we have a lot of people with different backgrounds, with different ideas of what direction we should take, right? So I think this is like something a good product manager should be able to do.
And that is one of the, I think, core difficulties of engineers working with product managers, that there's so much kind of background work that you do already. And the kind of natural thing would be to just like dump it on the team. Like, hey, we talked among all the departments and we had a big meeting with the PMs. Here's the roadmap. Here's the ticket. Go execute. Right, like that would be kind of the obvious thing. And I think that's the approach that many companies actually take, or at least used to take. I've been part of those places where that's exactly what happens. Is that the decision's done on the top level. Yeah. The team's job is to execute, right? And that's where I think a lot of the friction happens, and where we do actually much better at epilot, I think, is that it's not like the decision is made on the top level and now we just give it off to the team to execute. That's where the conversation starts, right? Like we now have all the feedback. We have now all the ideas coming from all these departments. Here's what we think makes the most sense. And you have to bring along us, the engineers now, on how do we get this done? And it's not like it's a full specification of here's exactly how this button is going to work, what it's going to do. we understand the problem now. We understand the direction. We understand the vision.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
And now let's start building that together. And that's, I think, where the handoff sort of happens. And the handoff is really difficult to do well, I think.
Totally agree with that. 100%.
Absolutely. Yeah.
On the user research part, I would love to hear your take because you worked with us a bit. You helped us quite a bit, and we are very thankful for that, because there are some bits and pieces that we didn't really have a chance to do from our side, and the user research is pretty tough, especially for us, because we don't communicate with customers in their native tongue. As engineers, most of us just speak English. So I would love to understand, like, do you think this is something that the engineers could realistically do, like the user research part?
Do you mean like the whole thing of the like organizing of it, or
Exactly, like
Without a PM, basically.
without a PM?
Or a UX designer.
I mean, sure, but the question is, I mean, probably like if you put enough time to learn it, I think it's a skill that you can learn. The question is that the best way to use your talents? Is that the best use of your time? And is that really something where you feel like you're thriving? You know, is that something you actually want to do? And I would say that user research, all of these things that relate talking to people take a lot of mental energy, because it's not just jumping in the call. It's thinking about what you're going to do. It's preparing for every little session. It's analyzing every session afterwards, summarizing, synthesizing, getting the learnings out of it. And frankly, I enjoy being in that position, and I enjoy having someone like an engineer and a designer and, ideally a professional user researcher. That's like the best thing that we are lucky also to have. To jump in and share their perspectives, but to have really a PM who knows it like from the beginning, you know, from the first 1,000 of times that the idea came up 2 years ago and how we got here, that we are now actively validating it, you know, that is the level of mental effort that I would not expect an engineer to put into the whole thing. And we are now at a company that is in a phase where we are not super early stage anymore, right? We are growing, we are having more and more options where to go, and that's, I think, where the PM is really needed. Not so much in the early stages, There's an idea, build it, ship it, and then you start to validate it, and then at some point you really need someone who can push it forward.
Look, you can run an experiment. You can take a product engineering team, right? Don't put a PM. I can promise you, after some time, either you lose out a lot of opportunities and you build something that customers don't want. That's option one. Or option B, you probably will recognize that, and then at some point, one of these product engineers will become like a product manager.
Exactly.
That's what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
One way or another, because it's time consuming. So at the end, you will have one product engineer. He might code only 10% of his time.
Right.
Look, I think
And
that's
that's an
still
okay
possible,
approach.
right?
Yeah.
Like 10-20%, maybe he will still code, but
Absolutely.
like 80% of his time, he'll talk to customers, right? He might use his coding skills to come up with like something very quick, right? But he will also recognize like he needs time for more customer calls and like for actually processing all of that stuff into features, right? So like this is what's going to happen. I promise you, if we run that experiment right now, that's what would happen.
I think there's big differences also between product engineers. Like some people thrive on that stuff. Some people really love to do that. Some people, I would count myself towards maybe more that that group of product engineers who I don't necessarily want to be personally involved with user research, especially kind of the practicalities of setting up the calendar invites and analyzing the data in the end. I'm much more, I would say, like the vision and what I call taste guy. So like what I bring in is a lot of experience from previous products I've built, and I kind of have a gut feeling this is a good direction to go. What's really cool then to be able to say, hey, what do you think of this, Mark? Does this align with your findings from the actual user research? And that's way more useful for me than to actually go out from absolute zero or just following my gut feeling. That's also not great, right? Like you should be able to then put something behind that. And that collaboration to me is, I love it.
You gotta funnel it into one person. It's so important, because if you have five people in an engineering team talking to the same customers, like there's no point. You get my point, right? There has to be like one person who's bringing all of that together.
It's not great for the customer either.
Exactly.
Right? Like they don't want to talk to 5 engineers.
Exactly.
Exactly.
100% correct. That's what I think.
Yeah.
So regarding that handover and user research, like, when would you then start involving a product engineer? Because we talk about handover. Ideally, it wouldn't be really a handover. I don't like the word, honestly, to be quite frank. Like it should be like a smooth transition. Like you start cooperating with a product engineer at some point, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't even call it a transition either. I think the way we've been doing it, and you can tell me how it works for you guys, because every team works in their own rhythm. I think that's awesome. But for us, like I would communicate even discovery topics, rough ideas that we are just looking into that we don't know whether they're going to come to life or not early on. But I would just say, hey, maybe this will happen. That's it, you know, and that's just one thing for the engineering manager or tech lead or however you want to call it, to be aware of what might be coming. And then sometimes like a side initiative happens of, okay, let's do a little POC. Let's see if we can even go in that direction. Because if it's like technically absolutely not feasible, I'm not even gonna maybe validate it that much. That's why it starts super early. And then when we are certain that something is gonna get into our backlog and it's gonna happen in the coming quarter, then we would do some more serious feasibility testing, and that's where engineer thinking is really important, because I still, after some years in this field, make the mistake of thinking, it's definitely gonna be super easy to implement, right? And then you guys have to prove me wrong.
Yeah. So you basically plant some seeds in the minds of engineers, and then you either wait to see if those seeds sprout, or you have to do a bit of watering,
Right, exactly that.
If it's important.
Yeah, it's a very good metaphor. And then sometimes when you drop a thought, an idea, you start to see it everywhere, you know? Suddenly everyone's talking about some things that would also come into it. And then,
then you feel like, I feel like it's my idea.
That's part of the job.
Yeah, not to take the credit, but hey, what's one thing that engineers should know about PM work?
Well, the first thing that drops in my head is that only when you don't have a PM, you realize how much of the noise you are being protected from. We enjoy it, you know? We enjoy it, and we adjust to work in 1,000 different work styles. Like, I will talk on Slack to whoever prefers to talk on Slack. I will send emails to whoever prefers to get emails. I will call whoever prefers to be called, and that's okay for me. But it takes also some mental effort to do that. What about you, Mark? What do you think?
Yeah, I think in one sentence, product managers are your friends and not your foes. I think it's what's very important to understand. It's very important. And some people might have a different perception of that, right? But I think they should, if they actually want to understand what a PM does, right? Like talk to the PM and say like, hey, bring me into some calls you do. I think that's sufficient to see what we actually do. And like, they will be surprised what we actually do all day, right? Yeah, that's what I can say to that. Yeah. Pretty much.
And coming back at you, I think the one thing that PMs sometimes get wrong is because engineers are grumpy and we are very direct often because that's the nature of our work. Is like code is either wrong, it has bugs, or it's good, right? It's kind of very binary. You shouldn't interpret that as like we are your foe, we're trying to like fight against you. It's just how we tend to work. We actually really admire the work. We actually really see the value, even if we don't say it. You have to excuse us sometimes for the directness and let's say just bad behavior at times, but really at least I can talk for myself. I really do appreciate the work that you guys do, and I see the value. It's something that makes my work, it makes me look better basically, and that's something that I'm very thankful of.
No, I totally agree. I mean, look, even as someone having an engineering background, I can tell you like it's very important for software engineers or product engineers to understand like, why are we doing what we do, right? Do we do it for the sake of technology? No, the answer should be no to that usually, right? Yeah. Which is very important, right? Like, we're doing all of that for the impact, right? Like, to have an impact on real customers, on real users, right?
We do it for the money.
and that as well, right? Like,
the MRR.
business metrics count into that as well, right? And like, ask a product engineer, how much revenue is that feature making right now? Do you even know? Like, what you just built, how much revenue it's going to make in the next years. Did you ever think about that, right? And they would probably say like, no, like but I built something super cool and super fancy, right? And it looks amazing, and technology-wise it was amazing. Or maybe something with AI, right? There are like so many buzzwords and technologies we can use, and it's fun. Like for me, it's been fun as well, right? But that's why I changed to becoming a product manager, because I really want to focus on actually bringing that impact to life, right? So yeah, I think it's just like a mindset thing to understand that, and it's very important. Yeah.
All right. I think we covered the stuff I wanted to cover. Any parting words from you?
Actually, I wanted to ask you a little tip on how to get over the grumpiness of an engineer and get them to be your buddy. Do you need to
Impossible.
Yeah?
No, okay.
No.
You gotta learn to code. You gotta learn how to code and code something fancy. It's like
Damn
the
it.
ritual. The
Vibe
ritual.
coding. That's
Yeah,
what
yeah.
Coding.
No, that's the opposite. No.
Yeah, that's fun.
Okay, I'll ask you again after a few beers.
Let's do that.
Yes.
Thanks very much. This was a
Thanks.
good discussion.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Nice.
You've been listening to the podcast for product engineers. Don't forget to subscribe and join us next time.